I'd say the most crucial part that I look into for me has been curiosity. So curiosity is kind of a very interesting word, and it's what basically drives a lot of success on YouTube. Because firstly, if somebody is, let's say that a video comes in front of them and they are not curious at all, like the chances they're going to click on that is very, very low, because the video below is going to be slightly more curiosity inducing. However, if that video is the most curiosity inducing and interesting thing they have seen on YouTube or on social media for the past week, it's like, okay, the chances they click on that are very, very, very high. So curiosity is kind of the key thing, which I always use to figure out if the packaging is good. So is
that a non-negotiable? Do you have to have curiosity in everything that you create on YouTube every time?
I think so, yeah. I think that's it, yeah. It's always curiosity driven. So what is the most curiosity inducing thing for the particular audience? Because this is another interesting part, is curiosity is dependent on a few things. So for example, if somebody doesn't have enough background context about the niche, then if you use certain keywords in a title, it may appeal to somebody who's really quite technical and understands your niche and they understand these complicated financial terms. But if there's a different audience that you're trying to reach, but they don't understand the terms, then those same terms are not going to create the curiosity, because they have no idea what they even mean, right? So it's very dependent on the audience. It's also dependent on the kind of like the level of understanding the audience has about the niche. So that's important. It's like knowing what's curiosity inducing on like a human behavior level, and then also what is the audience you're going for, and then what do they know, what do they not know, and how do you kind of play with those things to make curiosity.
Okay, so first off, understanding the target audience seems super important there. Getting into curiosity and the use of specific words, I found something you said really interesting there. Certain audiences are going to know some words, like technical words, whereas others don't. Do you make your sort of titles and videos less technical, to contain less technical words, so that the videos have a broader appeal, or do you keep the technical words in and just target the narrow audience that you're really aiming for? What would you say is the best way to go there?
Yeah, so for content like ours, we're just like trying to do the broadly appealing thing, which is focused on just kind of reaching as many people as we want with the particular videos we're doing. That is generally better to be as simple as possible, because that is, is more likely to have a broader set of people interested. So generally we're targeting like teenagers. So again, like that's a audience which doesn't know so many technical words. So again, we need to be cautious of that. Mr. Beast, for example, he intentionally, like I believe I've heard in the past, he puts his script through these websites which essentially tell you what the reading level is of your script. So like it tells you how complicated your terminology is, your sentences are, and he dumbs it down as much as possible, because that means that he can then broadly appeal to the most amount of people possible. So it's both in terms of the script, and it's also in terms of the title and thumbnail, is knowing what that level of technicality you want is, and then like just consistently doing that. I think generally the more simple the better, but sometimes using technical language can help if you wanted to show off authority in some particular way, or if for example the packaging and the title and thumbnail, that's how I kind of use the word packaging. If that is directed towards a particular question, so for example, what is something? And that something could be a technical word. And in that case, technical word obviously makes sense, because the fact they don't know it is why you're creating curiosity. So it depends on how you do it. But in most cases, simpler is better.
And you said that you dedicate a lot of time to study psychology, and in particular how to drive curiosity. You've loosely covered a few examples, but are there any tips that you can share with the viewers on how to drive curiosity and create curiosity?
Yeah. So there's a few different factors to curiosity which I've studied, and I can link a few books which we can put in the show notes, which I think will be useful. So there's various books I've read on those as pieces in terms of a few tips. So novelty is like one of the basic ones which everyone uses without realizing, is like something new is generally curiosity inducing. So for example, if there's a new AI tool, that's obviously going to be probably more interesting than just a normal AI video about ChatGPT. It's like, what is a new thing that's just like basic YouTube knowledge is you trend jack, you make videos about new stuff. That is everyone's doing that without realizing, but that is like a literal part of curiosity.
And when you say trend jack, you mean find topics that are trending and jump on that bandwagon, almost like ride that hype and make videos around those trends.
Yeah. In addition to that, it's also about using popular brands. So for example, with Worker Boy, the channel we've got here, we are essentially using the brand names that we know are really popular. So we're not necessarily making videos about, the most recent McDonald's news, but we are using the brands which we know are quite popular. So the recent videos have McDonald's as like kind of a central focus, and that is because we know it's broadly appealing. We know it's like interesting to our audience, and that's another way of, it's maybe not technically trend jacking exactly, but it's kind of a similar thing. It is leveraging what is popular in culture, and that is important as well. So
cool. So trend jacking and leveraging things that are popular in culture, and I guess making topics on things that are popular has a novelty around it because it's kind of a new thing that's currently being talked about in the public discourse. Anything else come to mind around curiosity? Or would you say those are big ones?
There's also uncertainty is another factor. So uncertainty, so just briefly about novelty. So if you think about evolutionary psychology, like as we evolved as humans, this is kind of an easy way to, I think, reference back and try and understand each piece of psychology that exists. So for example, the novelty is like, okay, well, if I see a new type of creature in the wild, like that could be dangerous to me. Therefore, I'm curious about what that is. So that is why curiosity and novelty, that's why novelty matters. And therefore why we're curious about it is like novelty in an environment you've lived in for like 50 years in a tribe in the middle of the UK or something, like that is potentially a dangerous animal, and therefore you need to know about it. So that's kind of an example of that. Secondly, uncertainty is again part of curiosity in terms of like just fundamentally everyone's psychology. So uncertainty again is this whole idea of, okay, so I am not aware of what that shadow is in the distance. Is that like another human from a different tribe that might kill me, or is it like just a deer? It's like, again, I need to know that, because if I don't know that, I just like pretend it doesn't matter. I'm going to die because that could be a human that kills me. So it's like really important to, resolve uncertainty. So that's an interesting one. You'll see that.
So interesting.
Yeah, there's certain channels on YouTube which are really good at this, and I've kind of posted on LinkedIn and Twitter about this a bit, where they kind of like are leveraging these curiosity tools, but towards a particularly useless end.
So polymatter. Let's have a look at this.
Okay, so what Putin fears more than war, the one is just a bit up. So this is an interesting one. It is, again, it's leveraging a person in popular culture, which is Putin. It is leveraging a kind of, it's almost like trend jacking the war, because we know that Putin is involved in a war, and there's probably new news around the war, which is obviously going to affect our lives potentially. And there is uncertainty around what this particular thing Putin fears is, and because it's a president, fearing it is somebody we look up to as like an authority. It's likely someone who's, if they fear it, we should probably fear it as well. So it's creating an uncertainty of sorts about, okay, if this person fears it, then I probably should know about it as well, because that's kind of too uncertain in my mind.
I understand.
So so that's an interesting example. And as you can see, that's like been really popular, like 2.4 million views in a month. So that's leveraging a few things psychology-wise. Yeah.
Okay. And those reasons are a big driver, you'd say, in this video performing so well.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure about that.
Well, that's so interesting. It's so fascinating. And I think a lot of listeners will be surprised to hear about this level of detail and just thinking when putting video ideas together. It's very easy just to think, I'm going to make a how-to video on how to do this thing that I know how to do. But the way you're walking us through your process and all these considerations when you're wrapping the presentation of your video together, so interesting.
Yeah. I think a lot of these channels are doing these video essays like Polymatter, Real Life Law, When Neighbor Productions, Kurzgesagt, and then like business video essays. There's like this Moon, there is Magnex Media, like a few different channels. Like these guys are creating educational content, but they're doing it with packaging, which is like quite entertainment based. And the way I define entertainment based is they're kind of like sparking your curiosity about something that you didn't think you'd go to YouTube and you didn't think you'd go and learn. So That's what's kind of important. So for example, with how-to videos, creating how-to videos is good to the extent that you're kind of getting search traffic. But generally, after you kind of get the search traffic you want, YouTube is going to promote that video, but there's probably a very specific time in a person's day or week where they're going to be actually thinking and have interest in how to do this or how to do that. So that means that it's hard to get those kind of videos to perform in browse unless that how-to is particularly novel, for example. So it's like how to use a ChatGPT's latest tool or something, which is leveraging the curiosity of novelty, or it is maybe how to avoid getting COVID or something, like in the past that would have been good. So these kind of ideas, they are leveraging like more entertainment-based curiosity, which is something around curiosity, which is, as I said, the novelty. So that example, and then the uncertainty, like, okay, if I die from COVID, I don't want to. So how to avoid getting COVID would be a title which is potentially something which would actually get promoted in browse and put in front of somebody. They never thought of clicking on a video like this, but they do because it is leveraging entertainment type curiosity. So the reason I say this is, like, as any educational creator or person creating educational content on YouTube, I think looking at these guys who I mentioned who are making educational content, but they're doing it with an entertainment entry point, basically, I think that can be really useful and really informative to know how to do that for your own content as well.